No place for hate. Wolves and Chelsea condemn anti-gay chants as police make arrests. 3 people were arrested in connection with anti-gay and discriminatory chants made during the Premier League soccer match between Wolves and Chelsea last week. Both teams and the Premier League condemned the chants directed at Chelsea supporters during the game, which the hosting Wolves won 1-0. The stadium announcer reportedly told the home crowd, who sang the homophobic chant during that match, that those continuing with the rhetoric would be kicked out and potentially charged. Wolves issued a statement saying, quote, "Homophobia, like all other forms of discrimination, has no place in football or society, and anyone engaging in discriminatory behavior is committing a criminal offense," end quote. Away team Chelsea FC also publicly condemned the incident, saying it finds all forms of discriminatory behavior totally unacceptable. West Midlands police said 3 men, aged 32, 24, and 21, were arrested on suspicion of a public order offense which caused harassment, alarm, or distress, and also of using threatening words or behavior to stir up sexual orientation hatred. All 3 men have been released on bail while the police investigation continues. While bigoted soccer chants have been an issue with the sport for decades, the controversy surrounding the now banned Chelsea Rent Boy chant sparked up again in January, following a New Year's Day friendly between Nottingham Forest and Chelsea. You know, there's a lot to say. One, I just want to say I always get it's because I'm very butch. So
you're so butch.
Like, so I always get the sports stories, which I
want to hit on you.
It's because
you're so butch.
I'm so butch, and thank you. I want to hit on you too. I actually do play a lot of gay sports, so that actually is true. But this isn't a gay sport. This is just gays in sport. Anyway, neither here nor there. So I am a little butch. Not even. Neither. Okay, I will talk about the story. I promise. But
says the tennis player.
Stop talking. Don't interrupt me. And but I love this story. That is, I love seeing institutions stand behind all of it, right? Like going back to our previous conversation, our last story, right? It's, if you have paying customers, and you do, who support the sport, support them, right? Yeah. That is, the institutions need to think diversity is good for sports too, right? That is, inclusivity matters in these spaces, and these are historic spaces that have not been friendly to people who are different, right? In this case, queer, trans, all sorts of people, right? Who have otherwise, to say nothing about the historic anti-Blackness in a lot of these spaces. That is, welcome us, right? And we will support you in return. These are the kinds of...
an interesting thing that's happening here is the sports league, Premier League, is saying that this is a criminal offense. Mm-hmm. And that's very powerful in their words, because they're saying the chanting is illegal. Now, whether it goes that far and that is defensible is a different issue, but they're suggesting it. And the reason I think that is valuable is they're suggesting how strongly they are opposing crowds that participate in their stadiums. And they're claiming basically, we control the space at our soccer match, and therefore we will eject you and say you are breaking the law if you do it. Now that's a very interesting definition of what Premier League is doing, because imagine NASCAR saying that. It's almost unimaginable that NASCAR would say something to that degree of rejection. And remember, while we don't tell you the slur, first off, Rent Boy doesn't exist anymore. And it's Rent Men in terms of what they're doing, but they're continuing with the slur because they're making a reference to to underage sexual gay is underage sex. Right. That's what they're trying to.
But when you think about soccer is such a macho kind of sport, right? Like NASCAR that you referenced, right? And here's the thing, like these people have been doing these chants forever and ever. So something that I've learned from my trans sisters is that there's so much unlearning to be done, and this is one of them. All right. So kudos to the owners of Chelsea and the Wolves for standing up and saying, "Hey, you will get kicked out." Mind you, when I first read the story, I was like, Chelsea in the Village, they have a soccer? Anyway, but my point is that this is how you get ahead. This is how.
What did you say, Julio?
Right? But this is how you begin the unlearning, folks, is by telling people that maybe don't know any better that it's not right to do these chants, right? And another thing, a whole stadium full of people and only 3 people got arrested? Seriously. All right, please.
And it's encouraging for soccer at large. A few months ago, we saw at the World Cup that, leagues were silent, organizers were silent when an Iranian soccer player who participated in a pro-women's rights protest, he was sentenced to death.
Oh my God.
His name is Amir Nazar Azadani. And so this sends a clear message that leagues can take a stand and they can speak out.
Yeah. I will say, though, just to kind of be devil's advocate to the last part, there's one thing about ejecting somebody. I'm never for kind of further criminalizing people. The idea of arresting people for, if it's not violent, if it's not, I don't know how I feel about further criminalizing people for, that makes me very uncomfortable for something that is, we can resort to other ways of removing them from that space without.
But if they're inciting a fight,
right, that's different.
Okay,
but that's
I'm sorry,
different from
you
a
should
chant.
get arrested. The next time you'll think twice before saying that.
I'm playing devil's advocate.
And heard. We heard those words added
and
to
also,
it.
I believe that.
Yes. An interesting thing in reference to homophobic chanting is the campaign that we're watching from the Anti-Defamation League. I'm sure all of you have seen the commercials now. Anti-Defamation League has and other organizations, has a very aggressive television and media campaign of Blue Square. And saying, do you stand with this or not? Because if you see the Blue Square, it is standing up against religious hate. And specifically in the campaign, it is saying that the chants and the comments in social media or in chanting that Hitler was right, which is what the very harsh alt-right Proud Boys are chanting at rallies. Hitler was right. That is a hate crime.
Yeah.
And there are interpretations going on that is a violation of law. And so the balance that is coming is your free speech rights versus hate speech. And that's what's going on here. So I hear your asterisks, but they're using the same kind of interpretation. This is hate speech, and so therefore it's illegal.
And could incite violence. And sometimes does incite violence.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.